Jesse Levy is the founder of HealthGevity Health, a venture born out of his personal frustration in finding a structured, science-based longevity program. His journey into the health and wellness space is fueled by a clear vision to ski in his 80s and hike in his 90s. Before founding HealthGevity Health, Jesse spent 13 years in the fintech industry, including 6 impactful years at Credit Sesame, where he was instrumental in growing the company's revenues by 40 times. His business acumen is supported by an MBA from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania and a BA from Tufts University. Now, Jesse is on a mission to share the knowledge, science, and tools that will enable others to pursue their own longevity goals and maintain an active, vibrant life well into their later years. Let's welcome Jesse to HealthGevity Podcast with Dr. Dana Marduk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of HealthGevity Podcast. Today, we have another founder, which is working in the field of longevity, Jesse Levey, founder of HealthGevity Health. Welcome, Jesse. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. So let's start from the beginning, the story behind your interest about longevity, because every one of us has a different story. So I want to hear from yourself from the beginning, maybe. What was the first time that you became interested in longevity? What is your background? What you have done? Let us know more about you, please.
Yeah, so I have a family history of heart disease. Most of the men in my family died, of a heart attack, and many of them had heart attacks before the age of 50.
Wow.
And so that really had me motivated from a very young age. I was aware of my own mortality. I didn't want to have that same fate. And so I was always just trying to be healthy, just trying to stay active, exercise, eat right. I ran 3 marathons. I did CrossFit for 10 years. I tried every diet out there. I did paleo, vegan, pegan, Whole30, juice cleanse, you name it. I tried it. But I had never knew as much about the longevity space. And to be honest with you, I thought that longevity was those crazy people who want to live forever. And as I started a couple of years ago, I found, many different perspectives on what longevity can mean. And what spoke to me was a view of longevity really about doing things today that can help you to stay active in your 80s and 90s and can reduce the risk that you die prematurely of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, dementia, et cetera. And that's what really spoke to me, that not only was this real things, tangible things that we can do today and things that are backed by science and proven in humans, but that there also may be other things coming down the pike, and that if they do, great, but if they don't, at least you're living a healthier life, improving your health span, and potentially adding a couple of years as well.
Amazing. So
that was my first interest in the longevity space.
Great. So how many years you are working on that space, and how it has changed your life? Have you seen something remarkable that you really are proud of, maybe? Yep.
So I got into longevity about 2 years ago. And first, it was just a personal interest. I wanted to, design my own program. And I said, okay, based on the science, what should I do? And I started listening to all of the different podcasts out there and reading books about longevity and, going to conferences and all sorts of things to see, well, what's the latest and what should I do? And as I started to dig deeper, the deeper I got, the more confused I was, because there's so many different luminaries in the space and they're saying different things. Eat more protein, eat less protein, build muscle, don't build muscle. Most people will say sleep, but eat this diet, eat that diet, take this supplement, don't take that supplement, this medication, no, that's bad for you. So that became very difficult for me to sort of figure out, well, what should I do? Wow. And I went to my doctor, my primary care physician. She was very dismissive about it. And so I just started, digging around. And what I found were these longevity concierge practices that many of them were very expensive. like $100,000 a year. There were not many of them. There only, this was a few years ago, there were only a few. But they were hard to get into. They were expensive. Some of them seemed kind of cheesy in their marketing that made me think like, is this for real? Or is this just, sort of a trick to get me to, join and pay a lot of money? But I wasn't discouraged by that. I wanted to see, well, what are other people doing? People who I know. And so I just started talking to people who were into longevity, and I asked them what they were doing. And what I found was that most people who were into longevity, they were picking something almost randomly. Intermittent fasting, supplements, hyperbaric oxygen chamber, whatever the case may be. They weren't thinking holistically or strategically and spending their time and money on the things that have the most proof first and the things that are most experimental sort of at the edge. And it struck me that there's an opportunity to help people to design and implement a custom strategy, to figure out what is it that I should do? How is this relevant for me? And what are the most important things that I can do to improve my quality of life and the length of my life based on the science that exists today? And that was the inspiration for Longevity Health.
Well, amazing. Well, I think all of us had the same story, because for me, like it was 12 years ago that exactly I had the same moment that I read a lot of books and I found different opinions, and different things. And I was confused somehow. And most importantly, I didn't find something simple that a lot of people can follow. This is important because, okay, there are a lot of papers, academic researches that most of people don't understand it. So I thought that,
Yeah.
okay, why we should not have a book or a blueprint so that most of people easily can follow without spending thousands of dollars. That's why actually the idea of this book came, that I thought that, okay, I have to create something for people that 80% we have to rely on the lifestyle intervention, right? So that people can change from sleep, exercise, nutrition, mindset, communication, all of the things. And of course, maybe 20% it will be technology, DNA test, microbiome test, and some other new technologies that we have. So yeah, I think I totally understand what you say. So tell me a little bit about your background. I think you're kind of entrepreneur. You have done a lot of things in your career. So tell me a little about it. Especially, I think you're also active in the field of AI. So maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is the third company that I started. I started, my first company when I was in college, and then, after college and grad school, I worked mostly in the fintech space and consumer finance, and I spent about 6 years at this company, Credit Sesame. We were helping people improve their credit and manage their credit, and we grew like 40x in my 6 years there. And yeah, I got into AI because what I realized, your point around a guide to help people figure out, what they should do. One of the challenges is that you and I should do different things, right? Based on our genetics, based on our interests, based on, our biomarkers, our budget, we're different. We have different biology, we have different goals, we have different lifestyles. And so we all need a different program. And what I realized was that AI is the way to do that at scale. Right. So what these $100,000 longevity clinics were doing was helping people figure that out for themselves. That's not scalable. Most people can't afford that. And even if they could, there aren't enough doctors to go around to be able to do that for everyone. And so AI, to me, is the way to bring longevity to the masses. It's a way to deliver this transformative technologies and interventions that can help people live longer, healthier lives. And the crazy thing is that the things that with the most proof we know about, we know what it is: exercise, sleep, caloric balance, right? It's simple stuff, but it's hard to implement. And especially hard to implement for you at a scale that's going to have an impact on your lifespan and health span if you're already sort of into this and active. If you're not, you're not active at all, of course, sitting on the couch, get up and take a walk, that's going to, have an impact for you. But what is really, what we find is the most impactful for most people is optimizing your time. and doing it in a way that's going to be most effective. So, I've been in the gym 4 or 5 days a week for 25 years.
Same.
Consistently, right?
Yeah.
And I got into longevity and I started doing some of the testing. I did a DEXA scan to measure my body composition, how much muscle mass do I have, how much visceral fat. I measured my VO2 max. Some people call that the best biomarker of longevity. And after 25 years of being in the gym 4 or 5 days a week, consistently, I was like slightly above average in muscle mass, slightly above average in VO2 max. And it wasn't, I was training, I was lifting weights, I was doing cardio, I was doing all these things, but I wasn't training with specificity for longevity. I was just training to be able to do all the things I needed to do today. And being, slightly above average allowed me to do everything I wanted today, but it wasn't going to allow me to reach my longevity goals to be active in my 80s and 90s, right? And so that was what was the big shift for me, was understanding that the specificity in your program can actually have a significant impact on whether you hit your goals, particularly your longevity and long-term goals. And that in order to do that at scale, we needed technology, and that's where AI comes in. But actually, one of the things that we do that I think is different is we've grounded our technology in a clinical practice. And so we run a longevity clinic that has patients that come to us. It's like one of these concierge practices, but at a much, much lower cost. And I think better, actually, because of some of the things that we can talk about. But that clinical practice allows us to ground the AI in real world experience of people in our practice and what the challenges are that they have and in implementing different strategies, et cetera. And that, I think, makes our technology that much more effective.
Exactly. When you were talking about going to the gym, exactly, I had the same experience for many years. And a lot of people don't know that. I mean, working out just to be fit, it is totally different from your longevity purpose because they are not the same. It's different. And of course, Dave Asprey and the biohacking system and how actually we can do less but get more results. So this is the thing that now a lot of people still don't know about it. So my question to you is this: what is the biggest challenge that you have, I mean, in longevity, but you are tackling somehow by using AI? What is that challenge that you have worked on that and then you got the result?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that. But first, let me just say that because you mentioned biohacking.
Yeah.
So I think it's great to try to live longer, live healthier, and find the secrets. I won't even call them secrets. The things that you can do that maybe are less obvious. But going to the gym is not hacking. And I think that the term biohacking implies that there's this secret, these things that people are keeping from you, that you're going to figure out some edge that only you know about to be able to live a longer, healthier life. And the reality is that does not exist. What does exist is having more specificity in the things that you already know you should do, right? There are some things that may come down the pike that could be breakthroughs that could be really beneficial. And some people want to take those early to try them and see if they work. And I think that's fabulous. And we have some of our patients that, are taking some medications and supplements and things that have shown real good promise. But we first make sure that they're optimizing the basics: exercise, nutrition, sleep. And in those three, it's not just about going to the gym, but about spending your time in the gym most effectively. It's not just about eating right, but about thinking about, sort of your overall nutrition plan as it relates to your specific goals. And sleep, like I often tell people, I'm not going to tell you sleep more. You know that already. If you sleep 6 hours a night and I say, can you get 7? You're going to say, well, I knew that already. I mean, even if you actually do it, you don't need to pay me to tell you to do that. You don't need an AI tool to tell you to do that. But what you may need help with is I'm in bed 6 hours, but I'm only asleep for 5. The quality of my sleep is not as high as it could be. And so helping to improve that is where, we find really great gains.
Absolutely. Talking about sleep, actually, if you later check the link that I'll send you, I mean, in the book, I talk about 12 pillars. And for me, after
Mhm.
probably 15 years and reading hundreds of books about longevity, and, some scientists say, okay, exercise is more important. Some say diet, some say sleep. And there are a lot of opinions. But I found it personally, sleep, and not only sleep, high quality sleep is the most important pillar of longevity, because for many years I just used to sleep about 4 hours a night, which had terrible actually ramifications on my health. And I found it later. So without proper high quality sleep, both REM and deep sleep, no matter what you do, your nutrition, your exercise, you're not going to have a healthy, long life. So this is what exactly I found it. But about biohacking, let me tell you what I understand from biohacking actually is that sometimes there are some ways that you can do it smarter, not harder. Let's say, for example, going to the gym for 2 hours a day every week, 5, 6 days a week, probably doesn't work as much as if you just do, let's say, kind of a resistant training based, of course, on your biology. For me, it was the same. So getting the result from 30 minutes every other day, having a better result in terms of building the muscle than 5, 6 days a week, in a gym. So it depends how you actually see it. But I think sometimes there are some smarter way than just working harder. I think this is what biohacking is about. So it means that we have to understand the body, how it works, the nature of the body based on the evolutionary path that we have spent. And I think this is what about it. I don't know what
Yeah,
what you
I
think and
agree
you
with that
agree on.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
for sure, if you mean when you say biohacking, if you mean being smart, working smarter, not harder, that's what we're all about. And I think that for some people, biohacking is about finding an edge that nobody else knows about that's going to help you live longer and doing some secret thing before everyone else knows. And I think, like I said, there are things that are coming down the pike, and for some people it makes sense to try them before they're proven, which I think is fine, and we encourage and support our patients that actually do that, as long as they're doing the basics first, spending the majority of their time on the things that we know are proven, and sleep, exercise, caloric balance. We can debate about what's number one, number two, number three. I think emotional health, stress, community, purpose are also really, really critical. It's just harder to give somebody a prescription for how they do that. That's
Right.
more of it takes a lot more time and effort on your part to be able to achieve those things.
Absolutely. And mindset is so much important about yourself, how you think about age, your age, the number, or we have biological age, let's say chronological, and even emotional, I believe. So I ask actually this question because it's interesting for people. I want to know that, for example, I asked Sergey Young that how long he wants to live, and he just said a number, which actually was in his book, 200. And I want to ask you the same, and see your perspective on that. Because some people say, okay, no, I just want to live 80 and that's enough for me. But some people say, no, we have a lot to do and we want to live not just long, of course, that the aim of longevity is not, extending the just lifespan. It's about health span. So how about you? How many years you want to live healthy?
So my longevity goal is to ski in my 80s, hike in my 90s, and meet my great grandchildren.
Mhm.
And we did the math with, I was 34 years old when my oldest was born. I asked him, when are you going to have children? He didn't
Mhm.
necessarily know, but he said 34 because that's when I had children.
Yeah.
I asked my daughter, who's 2 years younger, I was 36 when she was born. I said, when are you going to have children? She said 36. That was how old I was when she was born. And then I asked my youngest, I was 39 when he was born, when he's going to have children. And he said 20, but he's 5 years
Oh,
old. So I don't think that's likely. So if,
right.
if the trend continues that my son is the first to have children and he's 34, and his oldest has a child at 34, actually have to live to be 102 to meet my great grandchildren or my first great grandchild. So that is the number that I have selected. I'm not in the camp of I'm not opposed to living longer, but I'm not optimizing for therapies that we don't even know about that can enable me to live past, sort of the top end of what we know of, which is like 120, right? So if new things come down, there's new scientific discoveries, or some of the things we already know about actually prove to extend life beyond that. I'm certainly in support of that. I would love to spend even more time with my great-grandchildren, so long as my health span can continue. And so I think this is a big thing. I've talked to hundreds of people about their own life and their own goals. And most people I talk to, not people into longevity, certainly not biohackers, most people I talk to don't want to live longer. It's sort of, as you said, 80, that's good. If I make it 85, maybe 90. But it's because of what we have as a society accepted in terms of the standard of living, the quality of life as we age. We've accepted that it's going to decline and that we will decline. And I think that there's very little out there that is proven around things that can slow down and reverse the aging process. I know that there's contests that are happening and people are measuring it, and that it shows some promise, but it's not proven yet. And so that's where, for me personally, if I want to be able to, that's why I focus on the things I want to do in my 80s and 90s rather than just the number. And even with my great-grandchildren, I want to be able to be on the ground to play with my grandchildren, certainly, but my great-grandchildren as well. So if I'm alive at 102 and I have one or more great-grandchildren, I want to be active enough that I can get up and down off the ground and play with them. Maybe
Absolutely.
not sprint, but at least, have a good
Well,
time.
why not? I mean, why not? Let me tell you
something.
something. Definitely we know about. Yes.
I was just going to say, that is the critical thing that helps expand people's minds as I've talked to people. I think that is a critical thing for us as a society and as a longevity community to focus on, which is how do we stay active as we age, because that ultimately is what people want. And a lot of people, hundreds of people I've talked to, when they hear about somebody who wants to live to be 200, it actually turns them off to longevity. They're like, oh, I don't want that. I don't want to be part of that.
Yeah.
And if I say there are things you can do today that are going to allow you to be active in your 80s and 90s, and that changes the thinking.
Absolutely. One thing that is so important also for us in HealthGevity Nation is the mindset of people about longevity, because a lot of people, when you say, okay, in my seminars, I ask, okay, who wants to live to 100? Probably less than 5% raise their hand and say, okay, I want, because they think when they are already 80, they have got a lot of diseases from Alzheimer and other, but I change the question and the perspective. And I say, okay, imagine you have the same healthy body that you have now, and now you are 100. Do you want to die tomorrow? And no one raised a hand. It means 100% of people want to live another day if they are healthy. So when we change the question, everything changes. That's why we exactly focus on this, that it's important to live another day but healthy. Actually, a few days ago, we had a podcast with Ben Mayers, which is the founder at Longevity Quest, which they keep record of the oldest people around the world. And I asked a question about that: how is the lifestyle of people, the super centenarian over the age of 110? And he said most of them actually they have a very normal lifestyle. I mean, it's not like that, like they are like a longevity expert and they do whatever they can. No, they have a really normal and simple life, and they have reached that. So I think, and we know based on the data, is that during the past 100 years, the life expectancy almost doubled. So if we now actually take care of ourselves just by changing something in our lifestyle, probably will double it in the next 100. And most importantly, you're talking about like 80 or 90. But based on, the Opry degree, all of the calculation, longevity, escape velocity, we have that. It means that in the next 10, 15, maximum 20 years, we are going to add one more years than we actually live. So when we escape that longevity, let's say escape velocity, that range, then we don't need to be worried about the number, because we can stay in an age and we can stay active. And of course, death is not just by aging. There are a lot of accidents out there. What is important exactly is the quality of life. So let me now get to another question.
Just want to say
Well,
something I think is
yeah, go
important
ahead,
here.
please. Yeah.
So, first of all, it is true we doubled life expectancy in the last, whatever, 150 years. But in the last 40 years hasn't moved much, particularly in this country. And in fact, it's started to go down. And the reason for that is because the way that we doubled life expectancy initially was by eliminating infectious disease.
Right.
And that we have taken that approach, you know, what Peter Attia, that's medicine 2.0 approach, what he calls medicine 2.0. And we've tried to apply that to chronic disease, and it has been an abject failure. Heart disease, cancer, dementia, diabetes, we treat them once you get it. That's how you treat an infectious disease. When you get, you get an infection, you get, something, then you treat it at that point. That's not how you treat a chronic disease that develops over decades. And so we need to change the way we're thinking about chronic disease. But even if we change the way we're thinking about chronic disease, that doesn't slow down the fundamental mechanisms of aging. And so that's why, in my view, until we have some new interventions, therapies, other things that slow down the fundamental mechanisms of aging, you're not going to get much past 120. And even if you do, even if you get to 120, but your body is slowly deteriorating over time, that's actually not what people want. And so that's why what we're focused on are doing the things that improve your health span. And the reality is most of those things also will reduce the risk of chronic disease. And that can get you to 90, maybe to 100, but probably not 120 for most people, and certainly not 200, unless there's, as you call, longevity escape velocity. I know there's a ton of research going on. There are things that show promise, but we haven't proven anything in humans that extends life and slows down the fundamental mechanisms of aging. And until we do that, I think that the longevity community is limiting its reach by focusing the messaging around that. Because people don't believe that they can live to be 200, and they don't believe that they're going to maintain their quality of life to 200. Yeah, sure. If you ask someone if you're 100 years old and have the same quality of life today, would you want to live another day? Of course, most people will say yes. Probably not everybody, but most people. The reality is, for me, I'm deep into this. I do everything I can to maintain my quality of life. There is no chance, unless there's some breakthrough in the next 50 plus years, which there may be, but unless there's some breakthrough, I'm not going to have the same quality of life at 100 as I do at 44. And that's me, and I'm deep into this, and I'm doing everything that I can. And so to me, the message that we can make it to 200, or that we're focused on escape velocity, or all of these other things, we just want to live one more year so that you can get to the next year, to get to the next year, to next year. Until we have proven therapies in humans that can show that, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice in terms of the reach that our movement can have by focusing on that message.
Fantastic. So, okay, talking about the future, let's say 10, 20 years. So, what do you believe will be the most transformative breakthrough in the field of longevity? It's something like what we had in AI just a few years ago, let's say the OpenAI, and what happened in ChatGPT and OpenAI, that now it is available even for a kid, almost for free. So what would be that technology that probably maybe you wish, or probably will be there, that can have a great impact on the longevity space and can help us actually to, slow down the speed of aging at least, or maybe stop it?
So I think the most impactful thing that we have, and we don't need any additional technology or any breakthroughs, we just need to change our thinking, is to apply the things that we know that can help you live a longer, healthier life, but at an individualized, personalized, customized, bespoke way at scale. And that actually is not going to help me much because I'm already doing a lot of these things, but it's going to help billions of people around the world. And we know this because the average life expectancy in the United States even is dramatically different by zip code. It's actually more different by zip code than it is by income.
Wow.
And so that is a lifestyle difference. That's a way you live your life. And the difference in one place versus another is all about the norms, the people you're with,
Yeah.
the examples that have been set, the things that are available to you. And if we can now change that mindset to say, actually, the power to a longer, healthier life is in your hands. And if you answer these 12 questions, we can actually design a program for you that's within your budget, that's something that you enjoy, that you have enough time for, that's going to work with your lifestyle, and it can extend your lifespan by 10 years and 10 healthy years. That's transformational for the world. And that is achievable today. And so that's what I'm focused on. That's what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me super excited to spend all this time and energy on this. And I'm hopeful and optimistic that with the billions of dollars we're putting into research, that there'll be new therapies that will come out. There'll be studies around things that we are already using, and some of them show promise. But we don't actually need any of those things to have a significant impact on the average lifespan across the globe, and particularly for people whose average lifespan is below 80 years. We can help those people immediately. We can help people immediately with a custom program. What we don't need is more generic advice. Move 150 minutes a day, eat a balanced diet. That's not helpful. What we need is, for you, given your situation, here are the exercises you're going to do. And oh, by the way, I'm going to check in with you every day and make sure that you're doing. And that's what we're building. It's a longevity doctor in your pocket. It's as if Peter Attia is an inspiration of mine, and I would love to give everybody a Peter Attia-like recommendation in their pocket, as if Peter Attia were your doctor and you were his only patient. Can you imagine the changes in lifestyle if that was available to 8 billion people? How would we change our life expectancy? It might not change mine very much, it might not change yours very much, but would change the life expectancy for billions of people. And AI is the way that that's delivered.
Absolutely. And you can create a Peter AI, right? So that it can help you, just like a coach or mentor or someone that is expert in the field of longevity. And based on your results of the test that every day you have and what you are doing, can help you, can upgrade. But so my question is this: do you have such a service right now? I mean, in terms of AI helping people to measure, a lot of different aspects of their life, from exercise to sleep and all of them. I would like to know what exactly now you have to offer people that can access.
So the first product we launched, so we have a longevity clinic, and the first product we launched is it's an all-inclusive product we call the Billionaire Bundle. And it includes what we call a longevity executive physical, which is really extensive testing and screening. So we do blood work, we do a DEXA scan to measure your body composition, VO2 max to measure your cardiorespiratory fitness. We get a CGM, I've got one on right now, to measure your metabolic health, some other tests as well. Those tests help us figure out what the right program is for you. And the way we figure that out is still mostly through clinicians. And so as part of the program, you get what we call a personal longevity board. And so this is a board of directors for your long-term health. It includes a longevity-focused physician. It includes a nutritionist, a personal trainer, an exercise physiologist. They design a program for you. You can meet with them as much as you want. And they actually meet regularly just to review your plans every week, in fact. And they send you updates. You won't get an update every week, but they're meeting to say, oh, how are you doing? And what's, how are things coming along here or there? And they send you the update. You communicate them in a private Slack channel. And so that was our first product. And then we have a new product now that is a check-in. It's a sort of a one-time check-in. It's a lower price, of course. And so you get some subset of the testing, and then you get a consult, and then you get the plan, and then you can come back and repeat that. And what we've done so we're continually trying to drive the price down. My view is this AI product can be $10 a month, right? So we take $100,000 a year physician, make it $10 a month through AI.
Fantastic.
But in the meantime, what we've just started is a guide, which is essentially it's a guide that helps you figure out what you should do. It's not a guide that tells you what to do, right? It's not that I think that is the challenge. It's more of a guide that helps, sort of walks you through a structured program and how you figure that out. And that's free. And so we're using all this data to ultimately build the AI, but I don't want to, we could release an AI version today, but it's not going to be good. It's not going to be useful. And it's going to be pretty generic, basically it's similar to the things that are out there. And so I'd rather focus on building something that is really valuable. And today we do that with clinicians, and then leveraging that to deliver something that's really valuable at scale through AI, which is coming in the coming years.
Amazing. Thank you. That's great. So I'll definitely put the link of what you're doing, your website, your services, all of this in the video. But still, we have a lot of questions, but I know we run out of time. But I'll ask my last question, which I ask everyone because it's important for me, which is about the aging itself. There's a controversial topic that some people like David Sinclair and some others, they consider aging as a disease itself, right? But some other people say, no, it's not a disease. It's a natural process, and actually see it in another way. But I am actually working on a project which later will be a book, and I am getting like 100 longevity experts and even people like you that have a great experience in this field. And I want to ask them this question and actually see from their perspective that what if we consider aging as a disease? What would happen? What will be the positive and negative consequences? And because, now every day I talk to normal people, university students, professors, doctors, and when I talk about aging, they don't actually take it seriously. They say, okay, I can't do anything about it. It's natural. I will get old. I will get all those diseases, related to aging, and I can't do almost anything about it, or maybe small, but because it doesn't have that result, so I won't do anything about it. But I have changed, let's say, the question, and when I ask people that, what if you can do something about it? And then they start thinking about it, and they see it when they see it as something like a disease. So I want to ask you your perspective on that. There will be some positive and negative, but from your let's say perspective, considering aging as a disease, would it be good or bad generally, and how you see it?
Well, I think that the debate about whether aging is a disease or not is missing the mark for a mass audience. I think it's sort of an inside baseball sort of a discussion. Personally, to me, I understand the rationale of classifying it as a disease, and that can unlock our ability to do more research and get FDA approval for things. And so from that perspective, I'm supportive of it. And, I hear this argument that, aging is a natural process, but there are other natural processes that we do treat and try to reduce the impact. And certainly like sarcopenia is one, right? And that's natural and will happen to most people. And, some people would argue that, if you live long enough and you don't treat it, everybody will get cancer, or everybody will get dementia, or these are natural things. I mean, there's a lot of different ways, you can argue about natural things that happen as we age that we do consider disease, and that, ultimately I think that the compelling reason to me to not classify aging as a disease is because a disease has a negative connotation, and aging already has a negative connotation. And so we don't, and we want, we want aging to be a healthy thing that people can do and get older and it be beneficial, right? So aging, meaning that you are older chronologically, right? I think there's a distinction here between biological aging and chronological aging, but the negative connotation that comes with the word disease, to me, is the reason not to say that aging is a disease, because then as we get older, we have a disease. Now, the reality, I understand the sort of theory is we're all aging. From even in the womb, you're aging.
Yeah.
But that's not how sort of the public consciousness of the word aging and sort of how people think about it. And so that, I think, is a rationale against it. But to me, I absolutely think we should be developing therapies to slow down the aging process, maybe even reverse it. And I think the FDA should be more supportive of that. And, if there's a classification that we can do that doesn't then come with this negative connotation, I think that's the way to get sort of the best of both worlds.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. So maybe a final item, a news or something, actually you are working on that, or maybe a question that I haven't asked you.
Yeah, well, I think that the thing that excites me the most right now is just all of the energy in the longevity space. And so thank you for doing this and for, writing your book and hosting this podcast and interviewing others and educating more people, because, from when I started 2 years ago to today, it is an exponential increase in the number of people who are interested in the longevity space and the number of people who understand now and recognize what I recognized 2 years ago. I didn't know before then, that there are so many things we can do now, and we don't need sort of transformative solutions and things that are proven and just make sense. And so it really excites me, all the energy in the space. And, thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for having me, and keep it up.
Thank you. That's great. Actually, we love searching people that are working on longevity, and we want to really have all of them so that we can just spread the word. More and more people know about it and start thinking about it and doing something about it. So thank you so much again. And please just let us know where we can find more about your projects, your clinics, which social media you're more active on.
Yeah. So, longevityhealth.me. That's our website, longevityhealth.me. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can sign up for our active guide, which is written directly by me. You can schedule a free consult if you're interested in our program. You can find more information about that there. I'm most active actually on LinkedIn. I post, my own protocol, what I'm doing, how I think about longevity. And so it's just Jesse Levy, LinkedIn, / Jesse Levy, Levey, JESSE, Jesse Levy. And you can find our longevity health page there as well. We repost all of the stuff. And so that's where I'm most active. And, really our product right now is focused on, busy professionals, busy executives that want to live longer and better. And we help you design a custom program. And so that's really where we're focused right now.
That's fantastic. Actually, what we want to do is to try to connect those people in the space of longevity that probably they don't know each other. And sometimes we have done that in a great way so that they became kind of, let's say, doing a lot of collaboration together. And that is the good thing about knowing each other more. Thank you so much for your time. It was great talking to you.
You too. Take care.
Thank you.